Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to prepare a portrait, a raw portrait image, so that it's ready to combine with a nature image to do a lay mask. Okay, so uh, what I'll do is open up Photoshop, wait for that to open. And then I will just drag my raw image. If it's on a Canon camera, if it's been taken on a Canon camera, it'll be called CR2. And if it's on a Nikon, it'll be called a NEF. So this one is on a Canon, so it'll be a CR2. Now, depending on the lighting that you have in the studio, you might have an image that's much clearer than this, or the lighting hasn't kind of, maybe the trigger for the flashes haven't quite worked, and then you might be left with a slightly darker image, but that's absolutely fine because this is what RAW is all about. We can just improve it immediately. So we've got some RAW sliders down here. The ones we're going to be using the most is going to be exposure and clarity and saturation. Okay, so it's a bit dark at the moment, so we'll just expose it a bit, just a little bit, maybe up to here. And then we could increase our clarity. Up to the point, well, what I'll do, I'll show you. If I go all the way down here, and clarity becomes very soft focus, and if we go all the way to the top, it becomes far more high definition. So you've got to obviously take into account who the model is, and maybe, you know, it's quite dramatic when you're all the way to the top of clarity, but you want it to be quite sharp, so you'll have to decide whereabouts you want to put your clarity slider. Okay, but it should be quite sharp. And then the saturation, so you go all the way to the top, it's going to be oversaturated, and if you take it all the way down to the bottom, it'll be black and white. So you don't want a black and white image, because what you're going to do is eventually combine this portrait with some sort of nature images. So it's probably better. I always like to probably place images somewhere in between black and white and colour. I think that always looks very nice, but it's up to you. I'm just going to put it somewhere kind of down here. So what you're then left with is an image where the actual person itself is kind of correctly exposed, but this background does still look, it's not, you know, very, very white and crisp, is it? It's still kind of got that sort of beige look to it. We could try, move the whites up a bit. We don't want to do too much on the exposure, because then that will over brighten everything. So let's try and see what we do with highlights, and then maybe bring our shadows down to compensate for that. Maybe bring this down a bit to compensate for it. I mean, it still does look, you can still see it's a bit beige. So let's try and desaturate a bit more. Okay, and then try to offset that with a... You can see it's a bit overexposed here. So let's see if we can bring anything back from there. And then it's up to you to finally decide on the level of kind of contrast you want within. It's just a small fine balance, really, of making sure that you've got enough detail in the image, and that also your background isn't that horrible beige colour, and that it is white, you know, even though I can still see a tint of beige across the top, but I think that would be okay for what we're going to be doing today. Okay, when we get to here, you open the image in Photoshop. Now, if you notice, when in that image, the person itself was taking up most of the space. There's very little background, and that's what you want really. You don't want too much background. Let's just wait for it to open. Okay, so what you don't want is like a little sort of person taking up a tiny amount of the space and then like a whole bunch of white nothing. Now, if you have taken a photograph and if it does look like that, then all you need to do is to go to this crop tool here, and click on that, okay, and then make sure that you've got 10 in this box here and 15 in this box, and then from the side you can then crop to wherever you want to, and then if you want to move it left or right, then don't go near this thing here and don't sort of click on the lines. Click anywhere, maybe this is a good one, and then you can, you see, move it so you can still get your model kind of central within the image, but you've then cropped out all this unnecessary extra white space that you don't want. When you're happy with it, you tick it, okay? And then, let's kind of just click off to that. That's it, that's your model prepared, or your model photograph prepared for the next stage of the layer mask tutorial. And then this is really important, so you go to image and image size, make sure this says centimeters, put your width in as 10, if your width and height are locked, which they should be, if I change that to 10, that will change to 15. Okay, so again, if I change this to 15, see that will change to make it the same proportion. So at the moment, because my photograph is portrait based, that means it's shorter along here and longer, so it's longer up and down than it is across. That's a portrait format photograph. The width is going to be 10, the height is going to be 15, and then the resolution is going to be 300. Okay, that's okay there. And then finally go to File and Save As, and then call it whatever you want. So we'll call it Portrait 1. Make sure it says JPEG here. If it doesn't, click down here and find. So you've got lots of different JPEGs. Just do the straightforward JPEG version. Okay. And save it for now onto your desktop and save, and okay. And that's it. So what you're going to then do is you're going to combine it with a nature. Just drag this in. This will be in the next tutorial. I'm going to just kind of close that down. Just drag this in. So you can see that your portrait image is in exactly the same format as your kind of nature photographs, and then you'll be able to combine them together in the next tutorial and create a layer mask. Okay, and that's the end of this tutorial.